You have spent a lifetime carrying things. Not just objects. Not just the physical weight of a house that holds decades of accumulated living, but the invisible things, the roles you stepped into so long ago that you stopped being able to see where they ended and where you began. The expectations other people's, and eventually your own, that quietly became the walls of the room you live in. The grief you never quite finished, the words that were never said, the version of yourself you put aside, just temporarily, just until things settled, and then never quite found your way back to. And the strange thing, the thing no one talks about clearly enough, is that you are tired. Not the tired that sleep fixes. Something deeper, a bone-level, soul-level tiredness that has been building for years, and that you have been too busy and too needed and too responsible to fully acknowledge until now. You have been everything for everyone for so long that there is a part of you that no longer remembers what it feels like to simply be yourself. Not a parent, not a partner, not the reliable one, the strong one, the one who holds things together, just yourself, whatever that was. Whatever that still is, somewhere underneath all of it. And here is the hardest part. You are not sure you even know what to put down first. Today I want to share with you something the Buddha taught more than 2,500 years ago. Something that sounds simple when you first hear it, but that, when it moves from your mind into your body, into your actual daily life, has the power to change everything about how you carry what remains. 8 teachings on the art of letting go. Not letting go of love. Not letting go of the people and the moments that shaped you into who you are. But letting go of the weight that has gathered around all of it, the weight of old identities you no longer need to perform, old stories you no longer need to believe, old grief you have been honoring by keeping alive, when the most honest thing you can do is finally allow it to complete itself. Stay with me until teaching 5. What you hear there may be the thing you have been quietly waiting for permission to feel, not for months, but for years, perhaps for most of your life. Before we begin, if this channel has ever felt like a quiet place, a place where you can breathe for a moment without having to be useful or strong or certain, subscribe and ring the bell. We walk slowly here, together, and if somewhere in these words you feel that they were written for you, leave me something in the comments. Your story matters. Someone out there needs to read it. Now breathe. Let your shoulders drop. Let these words find you exactly where you are. These words were written slowly, with great care, for everyone who has spent a lifetime giving and who is only now beginning to learn what it means to receive. You were shaped by a world that taught you that worth is earned through sacrifice. From the time you were very young, you learned the rules not from a book, not from a single conversation, but from thousands of small moments that added up to a belief you never chose to hold. You learned that the good ones stay. That love means not leaving. That loyalty means holding on, even when holding on is making you smaller. That to need something for yourself is, somehow, a form of taking it from someone else. These were not bad lessons given by bad people. They were the lessons of a generation, passed down by people who had their own weight to carry and did the best they could with what they had. But the weight of those lessons has compounded across a lifetime, and now, in this season, something in you already knows what the Buddha understood deeply, that the second half of life is not about accumulating more. It is about the sacred, gentle, profoundly courageous work of letting go. Not because what you carried didn't matter. It did. Every bit of it, but because you have carried it long enough. And because there is still time right now, in this season, to find out what it feels like to set some of it down. Teaching 1. You are not your roles. The candle that has lit 1,000 others does not become empty unless it forgets it was also meant to burn for itself. For most of your life, your identity was held in place by what you did for other people. Parent, provider, caretaker, the reliable one, the strong one, the one who never asked for much because there was always someone who needed more. These roles were real, and they mattered deeply. They were expressions of genuine love and genuine commitment, and there is nothing wrong with any of them. But something happens when those roles begin to change, when the children stop needing you the way they once did, when the career ends, when the house grows quieter, when the relationships that used to organize your days shift into something different. Something disorienting moves in. Who am I if I am not needed? This is one of the quietest and most devastating questions a person can ask. And millions of people over 70 are sitting with it right now, in rooms just like yours, feeling the particular loneliness of a life that has loved and served so well for so long that it has forgotten what it wanted for itself. The Buddha taught something he called anatta, often translated as non-self. Not that you don't exist, but that you are not fixed. You are not your roles. You were never only what you did for others. Beneath every role you ever played, there was always something quieter, more essential, more permanently you. Something that existed before you were needed and will exist long after the needing ends. When did you last do something simply because it brought you joy, not because it helped someone, not because it was useful, not because it was responsible? When did you last sit in a room and feel that your presence there was enough, with no task to complete and no one to answer to? When did you last think, this moment is mine, and that is reason enough? If those questions produce a long silence, that silence is telling you something important. Begin small. One morning this week, before the doing begins, before the phone, before the list of what needs to happen, simply sit. Not meditating, not planning, just being. Let yourself exist, briefly, outside of usefulness. Notice what arises. It may be discomfort at first. That discomfort is not emptiness. It is the unfamiliar feeling of space. You were a person before you were needed. You are still that person now. Teaching 2. Your body has been trying to tell you something. The wise do not fight the river. They learn to read it. Your body has changed. It moves differently than it once did. It tires more easily. It asks for rest at moments when your mind is still insisting you should be doing more. And many people spend enormous energy resisting this, fighting what the body is doing, resenting it, comparing it relentlessly to what it used to be, treating the natural changes of age as a kind of personal failure rather than the simple, honest truth of what it means to be alive in time. But the body does not lie. While the mind spins its stories, I should be stronger, I should need less, I should be the way I was, the body is simply telling the truth. And the truth, when finally accepted, is a doorway into a kind of peace the mind alone cannot find. The Buddha taught Kaya a deep, attentive awareness of the body, not as an obstacle, not as something to overcome, as a teacher. The body knows things the mind argues against. It knows when you are depleted before you are willing to admit it. It knows when a situation is draining you. It knows when rest is not laziness but wisdom. It knows if you are still enough to listen exactly what it needs. Think of the difference between a day spent fighting your body, pushing through exhaustion, ignoring its requests, measuring it against some remembered version of itself, and a day spent listening. The same body, the same limitations. But one relationship produces suffering that compounds. The other produces a quiet, surprising grace. There is a practice simpler than any meditation. Once each day, place one hand gently on your chest and ask not what you think you should need, not what you used to be able to manage, but what this body, in this moment, is genuinely asking for. Rest, warmth, movement, stillness, a shorter walk than yesterday, an extra hour of sleep. Whatever the answer comes to, honor it without judgment. This is not giving up. This is, at last, paying attention. Your body is not betraying you. It is teaching you the only lesson that has ever truly mattered. This moment is the one you are in. Teaching. 3. Some people were chapters, not the whole book. To hold on to what has already ended is to live in a room with no windows. There are relationships you have carried for decades out of something that feels like loyalty, but which, if you were honest in a quiet moment, you might recognize as something closer to habit or obligation, or the quiet, specific fear of what releasing them would say about you as a person. Old friendships that now drain more than they nourish. Family connections that leave you smaller, tighter, more anxious each time. People who take up enormous space in your emotional life while giving very little back. And you stay because leaving feels like betrayal, because history feels like obligation, because you were taught that good people do not give up on those they love. But there is a difference, and it is a crucial one, between the love you carry in your heart for someone and the energy you spend in active relationship with them. You can love someone from a distance. You can wish someone well, hold warm memories of who they were to you at a different time, and still make the quiet, necessary decision to stop pouring yourself into something that has stopped giving anything back. The Buddha taught anicca, impermanence. Everything changes. Everything moves through its season and then becomes something else. This is true of flowers and of friendships. Some people walk beside you for a lifetime, and that is a rare and beautiful gift. Others walk with you only for a chapter, and their chapter, however beautiful or complicated or necessary it was, is now complete. Holding them past their season does not honor the love that was real between you. It only prevents you from walking forward into what is still ahead. An old woman had a garden she had tended for 40 years. In one corner grew a rose bush that had once been magnificent, deep red blooms, fragrant and full, a thing that stopped strangers on the street. But decades had passed. The rose bush no longer bloomed. Its roots had spread and tangled deep underground, crowding out the plants around it, drawing water and light away from everything growing nearby. Her neighbor said gently one spring, "Why not remove it? Plant something that will grow." The woman shook her head slowly. "I cannot," she said. "We have been through too much together." And so every spring she watered a rose bush that gave nothing back, and wondered, quietly, why her garden felt so tired. Sit with that. The rose bush was not wrong. It had not failed. It had simply finished, and in holding it past its finishing, she was not honoring what it had been. She was only preventing what could still bloom. You do not have to release anyone dramatically. You do not have to make declarations or have difficult conversations if they serve no purpose. You only have to stop watering what no longer grows. To spend your energy, your calls, your visits, your emotional presence, your worry where something living and open is waiting to receive it. Releasing someone from your daily life is not the same as releasing them from your heart. Teaching. 4. Regret is a room you can choose to leave. The wound that happened in the past is the first arrow. Every day you relive it is one you throw yourself. Most people who have lived 7 decades carry at least one regret that has never truly healed. Not the small ones, those tend to fade, but one large one. A relationship that ended without repair. A word spoken in anger on a day you cannot take back. A parent left unvisited because you thought there would be more time, and then there wasn't. A dream surrendered too early for reasons that seemed sensible at the time. A moment when courage was called for and you found you didn't have it. These regrets do not live in the past. That is the cruelest thing about them. They live right here, in the body, in the chest that tightens without warning, in the sleepless hours after 2 in the morning when the mind goes looking for things to grieve. They feel as present and as real as something that happened this morning. The Buddha spoke of what he called the 2 arrows. When something painful happens to us, a loss, a mistake, a failure that is the first arrow. It strikes and it hurts, and that hurt is real and unavoidable. It is simply part of what it means to have loved and tried and lived as a human being in the world. But then there is the second arrow. That is the one we throw ourselves, the rumination, the replaying, the belief that we must carry the weight of that moment forever as a kind of penance, that suffering long enough about what happened is somehow the same as making it right. The first arrow was not your choice. The second one is, and most people do not realize they have been throwing it over and over for decades. Consider this. If a dear friend came to you carrying exactly what you are carrying, the same specific regret, the same old wound, the same exhausted grief, would you tell them they must suffer it forever? Would you say, you do not deserve peace until you have paid enough? Of course you wouldn't. You would sit beside them. You would put your hand on their arm. You would say, you were human. You did what you could with what you knew then. You were not the person then that you are now. Why then do you refuse yourself what you would freely give to someone you love? There is a practice in Buddhism called metta-loving kindness. And it begins, traditionally, not with sending love outward to others, but inward to yourself. Not because you have been perfect, not because the thing you regret didn't happen or didn't cause pain, but because you are human, and humans, by their very nature, are imperfect. The practice is this. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart and say, quietly and without conditions, may I be free from this suffering. May I be at peace. Not because you have earned it, not because you have suffered enough, but because continuing to suffer does not undo the past. It only darkens the present. And the present right now is the only moment in which any healing can ever actually happen. The past was a teacher. You have learned the lesson. You are allowed to leave the classroom. Teaching 5. What you stop running from becomes a doorway. The person who learns to sit quietly with their own ending discovers something no one who runs from it ever finds: the extraordinary, almost unbearable preciousness of right now. At some point, perhaps already, perhaps in a quiet moment when you weren't expecting it, the thought came to you. Not dramatically, not with the film version panic, just quietly, the way the most important truths tend to arrive. A sense, sitting somewhere in your chest, that there are fewer years ahead than behind, that the arithmetic has shifted, that the long middle of life, with its sense of endless time and endlessly deferred things, has given way to something different, something that has its own particular texture, its own particular clarity. And most people immediately, instinctively push that thought away, because the culture they live in has spent enormous energy teaching them to. Death is kept at a careful distance in the world most of us inhabit. It happens to other people, in other places, in hushed voices and careful euphemisms. We are not encouraged to look at it directly. We push the thought away, and we fill the space where it was with busyness and noise and the thousand small distractions that are always available to us. But here is what we lose in the pushing away, and this is what competitors and other teachers never say, because it requires a courage most people prefer to avoid. We lose the clarity, the specific, luminous, irreplaceable clarity that comes only from an honest relationship with the fact that time is finite. The Buddha taught a practice called maranasati, which translates simply as mindfulness of death. He considered it among the most important of all meditative practices, not because death is something to be feared or fixated upon, but because the awareness of it held gently, honestly, without drama, has the power to burn away everything that isn't essential, to dissolve the petty concerns that fill most of an ordinary day, to make visible, with sudden and startling clarity, what actually matters to you and what you have been treating as if it matters when, honestly, it doesn't. The question that Maranasati asks is not, "What if I die?" That is the anxious question, the one that loops without landing. The question it asks is this: given that I will die, given that this time is finite and I know it, what is the best use of this day? That second question does not produce despair. It produces movement. It produces honesty. It produces, for many people who finally allow themselves to sit with it, a quality of presence and gratitude they had stopped being able to access. A monk who had practiced for 50 years was asked by a young student, "Master, are you afraid of dying?" The monk was quiet for a long time, the kind of quiet that isn't empty, but full. Then he said, "When I was young, I was afraid of dying because I had not yet lived. When I was middle-aged, I was afraid because I was too busy to notice I was alive." He paused, then he smiled, the kind of smile that has grief and gratitude folded together inside it. "Now I am not afraid of dying. I am only afraid of forgetting, even for one day, how extraordinary it is to be here." The student thought about this. Then he asked, "But how do you remember?" The old monk held up one hand. "I look at my hand," he said, "and I think, this hand has held my children. It has worked in the earth. It has wiped away tears, mine and others. This hand has lived. And if I can feel gratitude for this hand, I can feel gratitude for this day. Sit with that. Really sit with it. You do not need a meditation practice. You do not need a retreat or a teacher or a special understanding. You only need this question, held gently in the ordinary moments of your ordinary days. If I knew, really knew, in my body, and not just my mind, that time was finite, what would I stop postponing? What beauty would I stop rushing past? What conversation would I stop deferring until the right moment that may or may not come? The awareness of an ending is not a darkness to be avoided. It is, when you finally allow yourself to turn toward it, one of the most clarifying lights there is. You were given this life only once. The greatest act of gratitude is to actually be in it. Teaching 6. Comparison is a borrowed suffering you can return. The autumn tree does not mourn that it cannot be spring. It simply becomes the most magnificent version of what it is. The world you live in was not designed with you in mind. Advertisements promise the restoration of something you are supposed to have lost. Screens fill with images of youth and speed and the particular bright energy of people who have not yet learned what you know. And in quiet moments in the mirror, in the gap between what you expected this season to feel like and what it actually does, a comparison arises, unbidden and unkind. You measure your autumn against someone else's spring, and you find yourself, without meaning to, in the arithmetic of loss. The Buddha taught mudita, often translated as sympathetic joy, the practice of finding genuine, unguarded happiness in another person's happiness rather than feeling diminished by it. But he also taught something equally important, that comparison itself is a form of suffering, because it requires you to leave the only moment you actually inhabit this one and measure it against something that exists nowhere real, against a body you used to have, a capacity that has shifted, a version of yourself that belonged to a different season. Consider music that has aged, not the bright, early work, the late work. Beethoven composing his final string quartets while deaf, hearing them only in the silence of his own mind. A singer whose voice has lost its youthful clarity, but found something in exchange that the clear voice never had, a roughness that is also a kind of truth, a weight that holds the listener differently. There are qualities in things that have weathered time that newness, by definition, cannot replicate. Complexity, depth, the particular authority of someone who has lived inside uncertainty long enough to stop being destroyed by it. You are not a faded version of who you were. Faded implies loss with nothing in return. What has actually happened is different and harder to see only because the culture has no language for it. You have been distilled, concentrated. What was surface has fallen away, and what remains is more essentially, more irreducibly you than anything that came before. When comparison visits, and it will, because this is simply how minds that have been shaped by the world we live in tend to work. You do not have to argue with it or push it away. You only have to return. Place your feet flat on the floor. Feel the ground beneath you. Notice this breath, this room, this light at this particular hour. This is yours. No comparison can touch what is simply, completely, presently yours. You are not a faded version of who you were. You are the deepened version of who you always were becoming. Teaching 7. The clutter in your home is the clutter in your heart. When you release what belongs to the past, you make room for the present to finally move in. Walk through your home slowly, sometime not to clean, not to organize, just to notice. Notice what surrounds you. How much of it belongs to who you are right now, in this season of your life? And how much belongs to who you used to be, or who you thought you would become, or who someone else needed you to be? The objects are not the problem. They are not wrong, most of them. They hold real memory and real love. But objects accumulate meaning, and meaning, held past its time, accumulates weight. The closet full of clothes that fit a body or a life that no longer exists. The shelves of things that were given to you rather than chosen by you, kept because releasing them felt like refusing the love they came with. The spare room that has become, without your quite deciding it, a kind of shrine to a version of your family that existed 20 or 30 years ago. And beyond the physical, the identities stored alongside the objects. The story about who you are, what you are capable of, what you deserve, what it is and is not too late for. Buddhism calls this upadana, clinging, and one of its most subtle forms is clinging not to things, but to identities, to the self you were at 40, at 50, at the height of whatever you considered your prime. That self mattered. That self was real. but treating it as permanent, insisting on performing it, even as life has moved you into something different, that is the clinging that quietly exhausts us. There is a difference between a home that functions as a museum, every surface, a monument to what was, and a home that breathes as a sanctuary, a living space that holds what nourishes you now, right now, in this actual season. One of these rests you when you walk through it. The other gently, persistently does not. You do not have to do this all at once. The invitation is not to strip your life bare. It is only to ask, of each object and each old story, does this belong to my life now, or to a life I am still performing? What you keep, keep with love and full intention. What you release, release with gratitude for what it was, for what it meant, for the chapter it belonged to. A lighter home and a lighter heart tend to arrive together. Teaching 8. It is not too late, but this moment will not wait. The second best time to plant a tree is now. The best time was years ago, but only one of those times is still available to you. There are things you have told yourself it is too late for. And some of them, if you are honest, and you have always been honest, maybe. There are things that required a body you no longer have, or a window of time that closed while you were managing other urgencies, or people who are no longer here to receive what you might have given them. And accepting that is not failure. It is not defeat. It is simply the honest reckoning that comes with having lived long enough to know the difference between what is still possible and what has genuinely passed. But there is a difference, and it is a crucial one, between accepting what has truly passed and using what might have passed as a reason to stop reaching for what has not. The Buddha's final words, as recorded in the ancient texts, were these: all conditioned things are impermanent. Work out your salvation with diligence. Not tomorrow, not when things are more settled, not when you feel more ready, more certain, more worthy of beginning. Now, with diligence, with presence, with whatever this moment, exactly as it is, actually holds. What is one thing you have been waiting to feel, to say, to try, to begin, that you could begin in some small and imperfect way today? Not with a grand gesture, not with a dramatic announcement, just the quiet, dignified, somewhat scary first step of it. What conversation have you been deferring until you find exactly the right words, as if the right words were a destination rather than something that appears only once you start walking? What creative impulse have you been dismissing as foolish or too late, or somehow less serious than the things you used to consider serious? What forgiveness of yourself, of someone who may or may not deserve it, have you been storing away for a future self who will be wiser and readier and somehow more capable of it than you are right now? There was an elderly monk who became known across his region for the extraordinary quality of his calligraphy. People traveled long distances to see his work, to possess even a single page of it. When a visitor asked him when he had begun to practice, the monk looked up from his brush. At 72, he said quietly. The visitor stared. Were you not discouraged? He asked. Starting so late? The monk considered this for a moment. Then he said, late compared to what? I had never done it before. So for me, it was exactly the right time. This is the freedom waiting on the other side of the story, that it is too late. You stop measuring yourself against an imaginary timeline that was never yours. You stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. You stop waiting for conditions that will never be quite right, because conditions are never quite right, not at any age, not for anything that actually matters, and you simply show up, present, willing, a little afraid perhaps, which is exactly as it should be. The size of what you begin does not matter. Write one paragraph. Make the one phone call. Sit in the garden and do nothing productive for an afternoon and call it, without apology, sacred. Learn the name of one plant you have walked past every day for 20 years without knowing. Tell someone what they have meant to you while they are still here to hear it. The quality of your presence within what you begin is everything. The only moment that ever existed was this one, and this one is still here, waiting for you to arrive in it. Today you walked through 8 teachings that have waited more than 2,500 years to find you exactly where you are. You remembered that you are not your roles, that beneath every function you ever performed, something more essential has always been quietly present. You remembered that your body is a teacher, not a failure, and that listening to it is a form of wisdom rather than surrender. You remembered that some people were chapters, and that releasing them from your daily life is not the same as releasing them from your love. You sat with the truth that regret does not require you to live inside it forever, that the second arrow is always optional, that the past was a teacher, and the classroom does not need to become a cell. You allowed, perhaps for the first time in a long while, the honest awareness of your own mortality to sit beside you, not as a darkness, but as a clarifying light that makes visible what actually matters and dissolves what does not. You practiced, even briefly, the ancient act of returning to this moment, this breath, this hand that has lived. You looked at comparison for what it is, a borrowed suffering, borrowed from a culture that profits from making you feel insufficient, and you remembered that you are not a faded version of who you were. You are the deepened version of who you always were becoming. You walked through your home and through your heart and asked what belongs to now and what belongs to a life already completed. And you stood at the edge of what you have been calling too late and found it was only waiting for you to decide to begin. There is only one thing left to do now, not tomorrow when everything has settled, not when you feel more ready or more certain or more deserving of peace and lightness and space. Now, let something go, one thing, one breath, one old story about what is still possible that has been keeping you smaller than you actually are. You have carried enough. You have loved well and worked hard and shown up faithfully for a very long time. And now, in whatever time remains, in this particular light, in this specific and unrepeatable season, you are allowed to set some of it down. You are allowed to be light. You are allowed to be here, fully here, without the weight of everything you no longer need to carry. Tell me this, in the comments below, what is one thing you are ready to set down? Your words there may be exactly the permission someone else needed to read today. If this felt like a place worth returning to, subscribe. We walk slowly here, and there is always room for one more. And remember this, as you go. You were not made to carry everything forever. You were made to live, and living real living, the kind that fills the chest and slows the breath, and makes ordinary mornings feel like something worth waking for, begins the moment you loosen your grip, breathe, and trust that what is truly yours will remain.